Hello, everybody. Good evening. Dr. Rao here. Monday evening seems to have rolled by just like a second for me from morning till now. Very good and busy day. A lot of things that we could uh, do and help people. That was nice. And the top of that was I had a friend coming in on one of the apps that I was doing. I think it was a Gnome Vibe, we call it. And very good vibe, very, very nice vibe with her because she's on the same journey that I was probably going on. And that is discovering our true self, right? So as a physician, as a yoga person, I was able to appreciate how quiet, peaceful, non agitated, not disturbed by regular events of the life the yogis were. You know, the biggest thing they had was the samadhi, they call it. That is complete silence of the mind and really immersed in that deeper, natural, silent self, right? And they were like that for several hours sometimes. But the important thing was to realize even if you do that kind of state uh, where your mind is completely silent and you do it for a few seconds in the morning and few seconds in the evening, I detected enormous benefit, right? So it is attempting to really calm the mind completely to its silent self, and then realizing that. So that kind of thing really helped me. And then I realized if you stay there for a while in the morning and the evening, you definitely notice the health benefits because you are not really uh, having that sympathetic overload, which I always talk about, like how regular office core or executive or very ambitious youth or anybody like that that were bred on get to be passionate, to be excellent, to be really getting on. Yeah, but they forgot to tell them you can be intense, but you don't have to have this uh, continuous uh, onslaught of stress hormones by being so tense all the time, right? I think that's something Vivekananda talked about in his Raja Yoga, how you can be oriented to some task, you can really feel about getting the excellence of it, but without spending yourself. Okay, that doesn't mean you are lazy and sit down, you leave that alone, but you have this detachment from it, from the results of it, in terms of attachment to the uh, selfish needs and all that, right? So once you are away from that, you can really focus well, and you can also really uh, get the best results too. So that kind of thing emerged into this statement: work intensely, whatever you do, work intensely, but without that tension. Catch that, intensely tension. And then the same thing they talked about: relax nicely, fully, relax well, but without being lax. That means too loose. You are drunk for the whole weekend, and the morning you say, I have the hangover. I know that kind of thing. So I can say that because I never had a hangover or anything like that. I was never drunk to begin with. If at all I took some wine in the earlier years, it was like a small glass. And then now I can't even smell it. If I smell it, I will get dizzy. I think that's a very blessing in disguise. Nobody offers me anything anymore because they know that if he takes it, he's gone. It is not good for him. So they don't even get it. Even the NyQuil, that cough syrup or whatever, uh, that has some alcohol in it, I believe. So I took it one time and then I said, oh, that's a minute amount. What to do to me? Yeah, it did. It knocked me off. So that's a blessing in disguise, probably. So work intensely with all your being, but don't have any emotional tension, neither concern about the result or concern about somebody scrutinizing you, or you have to measure up to some kind of thing, right? That's not there. So that thing is very, very good. Okay. Don't do work intensely to the point where you break down, right? I see that with a lot of healthcare workers and the IT executives and the corporators that I talk to. Um, Whatever you tell them, but they do work intensely, and then they'll be really uh, every moment, every job, everything that they do, they're kind of tensed up. Even though they're very successful, very safe zones, still they have to protect their name, they have to protect their reputation, they have to protect their so-called self that they built up, the small self. Okay, be away from that self, so smaller self. That's the secret of being stress-free, but at the same time, really wonderfully proactive and productive. Right. So that's what I teach them. Work very, very much, but then be detached to the results. It's very difficult, but that's what karma yoga is. I think Gandhi said this in somebody asked him, can you tell us in a few words what is this karma yoga? He said, I will say it in 3 words. And he said, renounce and then enjoy. Renounce the fruits of the labor and renounce that I will get a name when I do this, and then go after the result and whatever you do, and go with guts, go with enjoyment, go with a lot of focus, then renounce and then enjoy. So that is from the Isha Upanishad, I believe, that he quoted that. So people who work in that karma yoga mode are very blessed because they don't not working for anybody's approval or anybody's saying that you have really achieved none of the ego boost, none of the things that they want to accumulate. They don't do that. That's what you need to understand. Okay, so uh, all this talk about find yourself is looks like a big deal, but not really. So if you really understand this whole spiritual quest that people embark on, self-realization, finding our true nature, finding our real self, all that amounts to one thing. You, as a body, is not going to be permanent here. You are going to be changing, and body is essentially inert, not conscious in the sense, right? And you take the mind is also not going to stay here eternally, and it changes quite a bit, and it also kind of settle down to the patterns, and sooner or later it will not have the just or the newness that you had one time, right? The beginner's mind, people accumulate things, right? That's why they don't really have that. Okay. Understand those three, and then you can classify body mind complex is something changing, temporary, and It's a kind of not the life. If you don't have the life force, they won't have that. So that's why truly you are that life force that is beyond your body and your mind. We are caught up in identifying with our body, and we say we have to be looking good, I have to be being strong and energetic and enjoy all the pleasures of the flesh, and what else the life is there if I don't experience all this. The more experiences I have, or the more people I dated, the more I'll be happy. That's the identifying with the body, you know. And then identifying the mind is what we built upon ourselves with the thought construct. You are not like a good man or a bad man, but you build up an image that you are a good man because you did so and so. That kind of thought construct is going to change all the time, right? It's not going to stay there. It's not you really. But then, once these two are not, who are you? What is that you? You are that conscious being that is really the life force. As a physician, as a yogi, I see so many people having the end of life issues. Either they may be getting so old that they will die, or somebody had an accident and they die in front of us, or somebody who is really having a chronic disease and die, somebody has an acute stroke and die. So we see all of them, right? So what happens is after they die, the spark is gone. That inner glow of light that every face has, that is gone. You can easily make out that is gone. Okay, so that the ancients kind of identified as our true nature, as our true self, and that is the kind of, they said, is the Brahman in ancient India, and that is eternal, vast, and it is really not affected by our life, our body and mind. It's like a movie screen that the life of drama of our life is playing on, and it's not affected by it, right? But if it is not there, the movie will not happen there. So that kind of our uh, substrate of underneath reality is what we are. That is the one. If only you know, you will have a you have no fear that you're going to die, because that is not going to die. That life force, maybe the vessel, the body and the mind, they go away, but that is one thing. So you are assured of the permanence, so you are not afraid of the death, and as such you are not afraid. You live every moment joyfully and well, right? So mind is calm and quiet, so it doesn't release a lot of stress hormones and give you a lot of health problems. That's also not there. And you also know, if you think properly and do things properly, you will carry that kind of thinking along with you. That's called Sukshma Sarira, micro body that is there within us, with the subtleties of our thought, emotions, and all that. So you are not that either. It happens to you and it goes away. So looking at them, the body and the mind from distance, you can be the eternal weakness. And then you can fix those things very easily too. And you will not be influenced by them, right? So that's the important point. There is so much more on this, and which is really not to be preached or not to be told to people, but most like just making them understand this is really uh, something we need to investigate ourselves, right? And thereby we can discover it by ourselves. Actually, that is the way. It's not to be uh, taught like a subject. Like, as for example, if I'm teaching physics and I kind of teach you some principles, that's fine. You can follow that, you can understand, and you can improvise on that, right? That is once you have know the intricacies. So all the best practices that we do outwardly, that all can be taught. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to your inner self, it's not about your opinions. It's not about your, you know, whatever conclusions you have, whatever the concepts you have developed. It's not about that. They also can be changed. It is of the inner living force, inner conscious experience. We call that um, first-hand experience, right? Uh, qualia, we call it, right? That is unique for you, and that you have to discover your true nature also from that qualia, from that inner experience. So you got to stop your intellect, stop your senses, and then turn inward with the inward mind. You kind of explore these things intuitively. That is the instrument, right? A lot of people don't go there, don't know how to stop the mind, don't know how to not to be associated with the body. So they live the whole life leading like that, and then they live like that. So thinking also, they'll be thinking the same things again and again, and they become your vasanas, and you carry them to the next life. That's the way they described it. We don't know, but all we know is that this body is not going to last, this mind is not going to last, but our life sense of life experience, life, that is not going to go anywhere. And that ancient called conscious being, and now ancient are getting all those things validated by the scientists. Scientists are very close to all that, they do. David Chavas, read him. He is in the Mind Soul Institute of New York, I think, something like that. He's a big deal on the consciousness circuits, and he kind of panpsychism. He proposed, that basically there's a absolute reality, and that reality reflects in everybody, and that's why our bodies and minds have this uh, awakening, have this uh, more like electricity, right? It lights up the whole thing, and we live. I hope it makes sense to you guys what I'm talking about. This is not about practically living or leading your life. This is about investigating into the universal truths that we bear upon here. Okay, so I've been talking about this in several rooms, different ways, because I'm asking people, don't come to any conclusions. Don't be influenced by anybody, even including me. But that's a question worth pursuing. Who am I? What am I? Am I this body and mind, or am I that life force everybody's talking about behind that? And where does this life come from? Where does it go? What is the big deal if I don't know who I am? What is the big deal if I know who I am? You see, all these kind of questions come up, and it's fascinating adventure if you embark on it with your complete being, but not your body and mind. Lot of psychosomatic illness will go. Lot of innate, lack of more like a vegetative living, and then you spoil your brain and your mind. That will go, and you won't even have good experiences unless you find this very clearly. So, for inner happiness will not happen because that is covered by ignorance. So, what you want to focus on is how can I realize this inner peace they're talking about? Inner unalloyed happiness that is behind the layers I put myself on. And how can I have peace itself? Very silent, very quiet. And how can I accept everybody else? Because everybody else have come from the same life force, which is in everybody. and but that is equal to everybody, right? That is always. If it's not there, then you don't have your body and mind. So in that way, that is oneness. We are all oneness in that life force. Okay. So once you understand, then you put those questions. Let your interior work, and don't carry this identification as something of your uh, underlying substrate. That is important, but not what you think, what you imagine, what you conclude, what you conceptualize. That's not you. That's beyond that. Okay. Once you get it, once you ask the questions, once you discover it, then you don't need a guru. You don't need somebody overhanging you saying that I'm helping you, I'm advising. You can do all this by yourself. Okay. So more details and all that we can talk in the next rooms, or you guys can explore yourself, and then hopefully you will realize what I'm talking about. Okay, you can always uh, come to my wellness club where some of these discussions happen, or you can ask them in the rooms or there. That will be fine. But there will be much more private, so more people ask me more questions there. But either way, just to explore is my, uh, impulsive duty. So I don't mind exploring these things. Okay. So that's the talk today, and hopefully that made some sense, some interest within you. And I'll be coming back again tomorrow. Uh, Meanwhile, I'm running that proactive wellness class. Today is the fifth day. Tomorrow will be the sixth day. Today we talked about sleep, deep, prolonged sleep. What's the importance of it? How to have it? How to measure it, and all that. Okay. And we are generating a book called Generational Health. How does it feel like if you really bring in all the scientific breakthroughs into our regular living and then following? That means if they tell you cigarette is bad, you should be making a good effort to get all your family members, friends not to smoke. So that kind of thing. So I was talking about what are the commonsensical lifestyle lessons that we know about in scientifically brought through all these truths, and also the wisdom hacks from the ancients. So I'm putting both of them together into ebooks. I kind of put like a food, exercise, sleep, and calming the mind. Those four pillars. I'm making four ebooks. Only the list of things that you could do that will help you, and then the list of things that you don't want to do, so that those bad habits get you. Okay. Probably I don't know how many will come, but one list is one, another is the other. Okay. And then four books together I'll publish them. Okay. Thank you, and I will see you again tomorrow.